Hello, hello. Welcome to our Investor Next Door Club Masterclass. For those of you I have not yet met, my name is Mary Amoido, and together with my amazing husband of 24 years, we are the co-founders of Investor Next Door Club, and we are super excited to be able to provide these master classes to our community, our club members, as well as their friends and family and colleagues, because we know this education changes lives. So tonight we're going to talk about how to find an extra $200 to $500 of just waste in your budget. And I know for a lot of people that seems like an impossibility since budgets are so tight already. But I promise you, if you do this work, you're going to find some money that you didn't know that you had just lying in there. So we're going to go through a personal cash flow audit. And in this audit, one of the things that you're going to see is you're going to see all sorts of ways that you can take steps to have real financial clarity and find ways to actually save yourself money. So how this audit is going to work is, one, you're going to have to pull some statements. So I know for some of you, you've got a big grown. Everything isn't going to happen on this 30-minute masterclass, but I'm going to walk you through some of the steps. And then for those of you who are club members, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Central Time, we're going to go through a deep dive and go through the nitty-gritty and actually some of the conversations to have that's going to really accelerate you being able to find this money. And it's going to take you a little bit of time, but if you find $300, $400 a month in waste, multiply that by 12. That's $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a year that you could find. Like, what would you have to do to make that kind of money? And that's a great way to be able to pay down debt faster, to be able to save, to be able to invest. So one, you're going to gather your statements. You're going to gather the last 60 to 90 days of bank statements, of credit card statements. And for those of you who are already club members, all you have to do is open your Pocket Nest app. So if you haven't already downloaded that app, which is free for our members, you want to go into your Play Store or into your Apple Store. I'm a Samsung user, so your Apple Store, and download that and immediately do the questionnaire so you know what kind of spender are you, how you are around finances. And then two, what we're going to do is we're going to hunt for the leaks. We're going to look for money that's being misused, forgotten money, duplications, things that are low value that you're paying too much of, things that you thought were $9.99 that are now $29.99, and you really don't want to spend that kind of money. Places where you could shave off expenses and get better quality, but you just haven't looked at it. And then money that you've built, things that are overpaid, bills that you can renegotiate. And then the very most important part is you're going to redeploy the cash. So every dollar you have, it gets a job. It's not wasted. It's not spent frivolously. You're going to either give it the job of paying down debt, you're going to give it the job of being part of your emergency fund, or you're going to give it a job of investing in your financial goals, into your future. So we're going to find money and we're going to give it a job. This is not find money and you're going to go on vacation. It's not find money and you're going to go buy something new. No, you're going to find money and you're going to put it to work, either paying down debt, building your emergency fund, or investing for your financial future. All right, so we're going to go through these 10 steps and we're going to go through them fairly quickly because we've only got 30 minutes for this master class. So you might want to take some screenshots, take pictures. I'm going to tell you in advance that you're going to want to do this. And then for those of you that are in the community, we're going to dive really deep into it. We're going to show you kind of some of the things that we've done to help with finding money and being able to shave off some of our monthly budget. So first things is cancel forgotten subscriptions. So list every recurring charge, your streaming apps, your streaming things, apps, gym memberships, software, cloud storage, memberships. So you want to go through every single credit card line by line, every single bank statement line by line. You want to look up every little thing that's happening, and you want to just highlight all the recurring charges and look and see, what can you get rid of? What are you no longer using? What's not serving you anymore? Maybe you signed, this is synonymous for subscriptions right now. They're going to give you the 7-day free trial or the 30-day free trial, hoping you forget all about it. And then what happens is you start getting charged that $9.99 or $19.99, and you've been getting charged for that months and months and months. If you're not reviewing your statements regularly, you're going to be a victim of that, just haphazard subscriptions that you're no longer using. And then you're going to flag anything that you haven't used in the last 30 days and cancel it today. If you haven't used it in 30 days, you don't need it. So that gym membership that you're holding on to because they kept you at the introductory rate of $24.99 that you haven't used in 5 years, well, that $24.99 times 12 months times 5 years has cost you hundreds, almost $1,000, actually over $1,000. So you want to cancel that. So if you haven't used it in 30 days, go ahead and cancel it. And then you want to eliminate duplicates. So if you have multiple music or streaming services that do the exact same job, especially right now, there's all these streaming services online. Some of those streaming services, one of the things you want to look at is where are you getting that free that you're also paying for? Maybe you're getting Hulu for free through your cell phone coverage or through another membership you have, and you're paying for it online. If you have a credit card that gives you benefits, you want to look for, are you utilizing those benefits? We had a credit card that actually will pay for our TSA pre-check fees for up to X amount of dollars, and we hadn't been using it. So make sure you utilize those, because that's hundreds and possibly thousands of dollars that you're not using. And then check for free trials that silently converted to pay, which is something I've told you. If you do a free trial, what you want to go ahead and do is put in your calendar when you are going to cancel it and when it's going to charge you again. For some of those trials or some of those memberships, you can cancel it and it'll give you the rest of that trial period for free. But you want to just make sure and understand what that is. Then 2, you want to renegotiate your cell phone bill. One of the things that we're actually doing right now is we're moving away from our cell phone carrier to another cell phone carrier. We're actually going to save about $200 every single month just by switching carriers, and we're going to upgrade our phones. And it's got better coverage. So know your current monthly bill and what it actually includes. The easiest way to do that is call your carrier's retention department and ask for current promotions. So compare that. Compare a prepaid or a discount carrier on the same network. You can compare what other carriers are offering, what their rates are, what their coverage area is. If you travel a lot and you're using international calling, allocate that too and factor that in. And then you might want to remove some insurance add-ons or lines you no longer use. One of the things I realized on some of these insurance products is you still have a very high deductible. And instead of paying that insurance every month, maybe you put that insurance money into an account for those things. So instead of paying insurance for this cell phone and insurance for your AC unit and insurance for this and all that stuff, all these warranties, put it into an account instead of paying for that. And when you have an emergency or when you have something break, then you've got that to do. And then shop your insurance. So your health insurance, your car insurance, your homeowner's insurance. You want to get 2 to 3 fresh quotes for the identical coverage. You don't want coverage that's different. You don't want deductibles that are different because then the premiums are different. So you want identical coverage. And an independent broker can do this in one call. If you don't know of an independent broker, reach out to some of your friends. This is a great way for those of you who are affiliates or you have a business and you're building your business on social media. This is a great way to get engagement. Post on your stories or post in your profile, who's got a great insurance broker? I need a referral. Ask about bundling your home and your auto or your renter's insurance into one carrier. Typically, they give you discounts for that. And then raise your deductible if your emergency fund can absorb that deductible. So you might not be able to absorb that deductible, but it might be an easy thing for you to do. So make sure, look and see if that makes sense for you. And then confirm every single possible discount you can get. So if you're a safe driver, if you've done defensive driving, maybe you can ask, how much would my insurance go down if I did defensive driving? Defensive driving you can get for a very cheap online course. If you've got low mileage on your car, if you set up on auto pay, if you set up on auto pay through a bank draft, if you set up for paperless, ask for all those different discounts. And that's for a lot of things. A lot of things will give you those discounts. And a lot of times you'll pay online for something and the fees don't make sense. So look and see how much in fees you're doing for convenience fees. And some of those convenience fees could be up to $10 every single time you pay for every single bill that you do. So make sure you check on that. And then what you'll want to do is you'll want to audit your internet, your cable, and your streaming services. So you want to call your provider and ask plainly for the new customer or promo rate, okay? Ask for it. Ask for, and they'll try to fight you, but you can always say, listen, I'm going to change carriers or I'm going to cancel the service because it's not a non-necessity. And people know that. And those service providers know that. So right size your internet speed to what your household actually needs. Maybe you're paying for internet, high-speed internet you don't really need, and you're paying a premium for it. So look and see what you really need versus, and then also when you're looking at cable and streaming services, look and see. I mean, a lot of times you buy these huge bundle packages, but are you utilizing it? Are you watching those channels? Are you plugging into those streaming services? And maybe you don't know right now. Maybe for the next 30 days, you make a tally of it. Maybe you don't watch it at all. I have zero clue what our internet, cable, and streaming services are because I did watch zero TV. I watched none at all. So I don't even go there, but I know Richard watches it and he's always changing things and moving things because sometimes we get a streaming service for one thing our kids want to watch and then they don't use it again. So we're constantly looking at that. And then cut maybe cable and replace it with a single streaming service. There's a lot of different services out there. You could chat GPT and ask, what's the best bang for my buck? What's the best streaming service? This is the kind of shows that I watch. What should I do to reduce my monthly expense on that? And then return any kind of rented equipment you have. Sometimes people think it's convenient. They think about rented equipment's like $5, $10 when they don't realize that if I bought it outright, it would only cost me, $100. And that's, only 10 months. Our daughter was paying for a monthly subscription. And my husband said, if you think you're going to have that for longer than 3 months, then let's go ahead and pay the annual and that'll be cheaper long term. So just looking at, sometimes we look at the cash flow rather than what you're investing in long term. And sometimes the cash flow dictates what we do instead of what makes sense long term. So if that's the case and it's a cash flow issue, then maybe what you do is you cancel the service for 3 months and until you collect enough cash to be able to pay for the 1 year subscription. So just make some smart decisions when it comes to that. And then you want to eliminate some bank fees and interest. I know a lot of times banks will convert and go to a monthly payment. I know our bank did. They converted a lot of things to paid ones. And so we look to see, okay, what kind of accounts can we have that's going to reduce that? Any kind of ATM fees, minimum balance fees. You never want to be in a place where you've got to pay for ATM fees because when you pay for an out-of-network ATM, you're paying for the ATM that you're using as well as your bank charging you. So switch to some no fee accounts. There's a lot of banks right now that are offering a $200 bonus for setting up an account with them and setting up, direct deposit or an auto draft of some sort. So make sure you have that. And then if you have been in a place where you have done a lot of overdrafts, one of the things I will tell you to do is quit using your debit card. So that's a really great way to avoid those overdraft fees because that is just money going out. Sometimes it's $35, $50 for an overdraft fee from your bank as well as whoever you may have had a return check or a return service fee from. So if you're constantly doing that, then my recommendation is move to using cash for some of those discretionary things and quit using your debit card. And then you want to review your credit card annual fees. And if you're got a lot of annual fees and you're no longer wanting to keep that, especially if you're in Investor Next Door Club and you've got a lot of high credit cards or high interest rate credit cards, you want to go into our debt settlement service and set up a free consultation on what that would look like. I know with our debt settlement company that we work with, they can shave 20 to 40% off your balance and reduce your interest rates so that you can get out of debt faster. So I highly, highly recommend that. And then you want to cut convenience spending leaks. This is a big one, okay? So often we are in this microwave era and we want things fast and we want things now and we want just to soothe our appetite. So you want to look at food delivery and ride shares and convenience store purchases for an entire month. You want to look at all of that. One of the things that we used to do all the time is now that everyone's kind of carrying water bottles around a lot, and it's summertime, it's easy to just jump into a convenience store and buy a cold water. So what I have is I have some of these big insulated water bottles that we can leave in the car in 100-degree weather. And I fill it with ice and water. And even though it's been 100 degrees and it's smoking hot inside the car, the water still stays cool. And then after a few hours in our normal bottles that we carry, and everybody's carrying, your Stanleys and all those cups, you can refill without having to go, because that's easily $3-4 every single time you do that. And that's money that gets wasted. And it doesn't seem like a lot of money, but when you compound it over time and you're spending $5 every couple of days, that's hundreds of dollars a month that you're wasting on convenience purchases. And that's thousands of dollars a year that you could be using to pay off debt and save you even thousands of dollars in interest fees. You could be using it to invest in compounding your money over time. And so that doesn't seem like a lot in a week. It doesn't seem like a lot in a month, but it can be a lot in a year, and it definitely is a lot in 5 years. So add up all those things, the coffees, the lunches out, those impulse purchases. If you're at a coffee shop and you feel like you got to buy something, don't buy the caramel macchiato latte. Maybe you just buy a drip coffee, or maybe you buy a tea. If you've got this habit of always going to the coffee shop, on Fridays on the way to work, it might be a time for you to invest in a great espresso machine. Or I love my Nespresso machine, and I think it's highway robbery that each pot is like $1.30 to have coffee at home, but it's still better to me and cheaper than going to buy a coffee out at a coffee shop. And I don't drink that every day. I have my regular coffee maker, but it's something to think about long term. What is the compounding effect of that? So what you might need to do is, for the next month, you don't do those splurges, and then you go buy the nice coffee maker, you go buy the extra insulated beverage, whatever that is, so that you can shave off those expenses that are unnecessary. And then what I highly, highly, highly recommend is unsubscribe from all those retailer marketing campaigns. So in your inbox, you've got a lot of them. Every day, one of the things you want to do is just go in there and unsubscribe. You get emails from places, just unsubscribe, because then you aren't in that place where it's an automatically buying decision. It's not a impulse that's coming into your inbox, that it's seeing you all the time. And then for some of you, what you might have to do, and I know this is going to be like really tragic and taboo for some of you might have to delete your Amazon app on your phone. You might have to make it really hard for you to purchase things on Amazon, because I know for a lot of people that's impulse purchases. And Amazon Prime purchases typically are more expensive than what you could go get at the grocery store or at Target or at Walmart. For some of you, it's worse for you to go to Target because you're buying a whole bunch of stuff you don't need to be buying. So be cognizant about some of your spending habits. And then you can reduce your grocery and household spend. Start looking at how much you're actually spending at the grocery store. Plan your weekend meals before shopping and commit to that list. Very, very important. And then you might want to swap 5 to 10 staples to store brands without sacrificing the quality. The other thing is about creating a shopping list and having a menu is that I know a lot of times, especially if you've got a small family, I know for us, we went from having all of our kids home to only having one child at home. And then some days he's not even at home. So it's just me and Richard, or me, Richard, and his mom eating dinner. So we're not having these big meals, so that when we buy a package of lettuce, it's not done in one meal. So we've got to plan for, okay, this is going to be for 2 or 3 meals or whatever that is. So you just plan for that stuff. And then set a monthly grocery target and track it in Pocket Nest. So those of you who have Pocket Nest, you can track that stuff. Buy perishables in amounts you'll actually use, and then think about what you can freeze, and that helps. One of the things that we did that really saves us a ton of money is we are a protein shake family. We consume 4 protein shakes a day when it's just me, Richard, and our son. And then with our daughter home, that's 5 protein shakes a day. So we will easily go through 2 gallons of almond milk, and we like to buy the clean stuff. So that's $6 or $7 for a half gallon. So that is a lot of almond milk. So years ago, my daughter bought this thing called an almond cow, and it was $200, which is a huge investment. But for every gallon of almond milk I make, it costs me 25 cents. So I have more than made up for the $200 investment, and I don't ever have to run to the store. So that's my shameless plug. But look at things like that. What are the big chunks in your budget that you can swap out for something else that is not going to make a major dent? So we invest a lot of money in supplements. I mean, hundreds of dollars every single month. And it might even be close to $1,000 a month just on supplements, protein, that kind of stuff. And so we look to see, can we buy some of this in bulk? And we do. And so very important for you to kind of watch that. And you want to budget for that every month. So for some of you, you can't buy a bulk container of supplements that's going to take you 3 months to go through. So you want to budget that every single month so that you've got enough so that you can buy the 3-month supply. So look at things like that are big chunks that are consistent in your budget that you can shave off somehow. And it might be some creative ways for you to have to save money before you can make that purchase. So you might need to save money in order to make that $200 almond cow purchase, so that you can save money in the long run. And then you want to review your memberships and protection plans. You want to audit any club, warehouse, or professional memberships and keep only what pays for itself. I've been a part of lots of professional organizations, networking groups, and you've got to look at your return on investment on those. What are you getting out of those? Are you actually doing business in those? Are you getting your money's worth? Are you if you've got any kind of maybe you've got a Costco membership and you're not really using it, or you're not using it enough to justify the cost of that, whatever that might be, look and see and assess, does that make sense for you to continue? A lot of times right now, some of those things that you've got memberships to could be ChatGPT, it could be professional versions of Canva, it could be those types of things that you've used a couple of times for your business or for yourself personally that you're no longer using. That's why it's so important for you to regularly review your credit card statements to see what's popping up that you're not even noticing. Because if anything is on there that you don't know what it is, you want to flag that and look back at some of the statements and see how long you've been paying that. And a lot of times you can ask for a refund and they'll refund you several months. So it's very important that you do that. And then you want to cancel any kind of extended warranties and device protection plans that you don't need anymore, that you had it at one point and it was a precautionary something and you just don't need it. Roadside assistance and any identity protection plans, a lot of times those are covered with your credit cards. So you want to check what's covered in your credit card that you don't have to pay for anymore. And then pause or downgrade any kind of gym memberships that you're not using. Maybe you've got one that for a while I had an injury and I couldn't go to the gym, so I had them pause it for 3 months while I was healing, and they kept my rate as where it was, and I didn't have to pay an initiation fee again. So look and see what things can you shave off in the month. And then you want to be able to try to refinance any kind of high interest debt. List every debt with the balance, the minimum payment, and the interest rate. And you want to call all the card issuers and see if they will lower your APR. And a lot of times, especially if you've had the card for a really long time and you've got good pay history, they want to keep you. They want to keep your business. And then you want to also look and see if you can do any kind of balance transfers or consolidation loans. Every free dollar needs to go to your highest rate balance first. And so we're not going to go into debt, a good plan, which is a get out of debt plan, because you could have the snowball effect or you can have the high interest payment plan. So it just depends on your personality. For those of you who are Investor Next Door Club members, you can go into your dashboard, into the financial strategies, and go through the debt reduction courses and look at those. And I do recommend that you do have a consult with the debt consolidation experts that we've partnered with, because they'll save you a ton of money and get you out of debt probably within 2 years, even if you've got tens of thousands of dollars in debt. And then I would say you want to lock it in with Pocket Nest. So if you're not already with us in Pocket Nest, you want to, if you're an Investor Next Door Club member, you want to go and get yourself on Pocket Nest so you can look and track your monthly spending every single month. And you're going to see trends, and Pocket Nest is intuitive. They're going to say, hey, you've been spending X amount of dollars on coffee every day. Did you know there's a cheaper coffee shop around the corner from your house? Did you know? They're going to give you suggestions and recommendations. And they're also going to have you do a profile and make suggestions based on how you operate around money and your personality when it comes to money. So you can set up a calendar reminder to repeat your audit every 6 to 12 months, which is really, really recommended. Now, if you are not a member of Investor Next Door Club and you cannot access Pocket Nest, then we've got some calculators that you can use that are on our website. So you just have to go to investornextdoorclub.com, and then you want to go to member benefits, and you can go here to financial tracking or the cash flow net worth calculator. So if you go to financial tracking, actually this is for Pocket Nest. So you want to go to the cash flow and net worth calculator. So you're going to go here and you're going to put in all this information, and we do not save any of this information. Once you go out of this, it's gone. So you're going to want to put in all this information and calculate what's happening, where your money is going. And once you're done with that, you're going to download your Excel report. So you're going to download this. You can keep everything empty and then download Excel, or you can fill it all in and download this, and that's going to be your cash flow spreadsheet. And then you can click on this and go to your net worth spreadsheet. So you'll put in all of your assets, all of your investments, all of your real estate, any kind of equity you have, any kind of liabilities, consumer liabilities, all that stuff. And then it'll actually create that, download your Excel report and give you a report. And then we also have things like debt reduction calculators and retirement calculators. That's all free for you to use. It's a benefit that you can have just for being in and around our community, even if you're not an Investor Next Door Club member. So this is a great way for you to figure out, okay, what is going to get me out of debt faster? If I did this, if I applied X amount of dollars to my debt, how fast can I get out of debt? And so I do recommend that you do these. But if you're looking for how to really take control of your financial future, I do recommend get involved in Investor Next Door Club. Whoever invited you onto this master class or watch this recording, they can send you a short video about Investor Next Door Club, what we're about, how we operate. But we are a financial community, but we're more than just a financial community. We are a fractional ownership movement. We don't just want our members to get better at finances and have financial confidence, though that is a fallout of becoming a member and being an active member of our community. We want our members to own income producing assets, and we want them to own enough income producing assets such that the cash flow from those assets funds their lifestyle. So this doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen over time. So if you're interested in learning more about that, reach out to whoever invited you, and they can share with you how it works and what's available for you. So your savings tracker, what you really want to do is track it. Look and see how much did you spend before on subscriptions, on your cell phone, on your insurance. Now what is the new monthly, and then calculate your savings. And then when you calculate your savings, you need to figure out, where is that money going to go? What job does that money now have? If you're saving $100, that $100 has to have a job. Is it going to pay off debt? Is it going to be a part of your emergency fund? or is it going to be invested and go make other friends? Okay. So your money's job is to go to work for you. You're working hard for your money, and your money needs to be working hard for you. So that's the whole point of Investor Next Door Club, is to put your money to work for you so that you don't have to work for money. So when you redirect every month $300, that's $3,600 a year working for your future, compounded over time, invested appropriately, compounded year in and year out. You can build yourself a really great nest egg. It's not too early to start, and it's not too late to start. So make sure you're doing exactly that. And then for those of you who are in Dallas Fort Worth, we've got a social happening this Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Thirsty Lion in Grandscape. So if you want to join us for that, we'd love to meet you. We're not going to talk any kind of formal presentations, but there's always conversation around investing, tax strategies, financial strategies. You will learn something great. You're going to meet some really great people. Bring your friends, your family, your kids. It's open to anybody and everybody. It's just always a really, really great time. So with that, make sure that if you are in Investor Next Door Club, that you join us tomorrow morning for our deep dive. Join us through your member portal. We're going to go through all the nitty gritty about how to do and apply all of this, and how you can dig in deep and find this information. And we're going to give you some scripts that you can talk to some of your insurance people and some of these places that we're telling you to call, what you can say to actually elicit positive results. So with that, you guys have a great night, and we will see you all very, very soon. Bye now.